Welcome to the Indie KidLit podcast. Join Marty Dumas and Elena Page on their quest to help children's and middle grade authors find the right audience and sell more books. Hi, and welcome to the Indie KidLit podcast. I'm Marty Dumas.
And I'm Elena Page.
And we're here today with our friend and guest, Austin Bailey. Austin is the author of the Mage Mother series, and we're super excited to get to pick his brain today. Welcome, Austin.
Thank you for having me.
So, Austin, can you tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming a children's book author?
Sure. So in about 2015, I was applying to grad schools. I was a psych major, so I was applying to grad schools and not enjoying the process, but I'd always wanted to write. So my wife talked me into not going to grad school. I'm like, this is a big sign, because usually wives do the other thing.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you,
like, you should just try to write.
We would not have had that conversation probably.
Yeah, right. So yeah, that's what I did, and I wrote instead, and it's been a lot of fun, and it's working out well.
How did you end up doing middle grade?
That's just the first story that I had in my head that I wanted to get down. I grew up reading a lot of middle grade stuff. I think that's a lot of people in my general generation, I guess, the Harry Potter generation. And that's what I wrote. And so after I started learning a little bit about writing, I realized I should probably stick with one genre for a while, and develop a reputation before I start branching out.
All right. And so then with your series, the Mage Mother series, how did that bit get started? I mean, like, being indie, like actually deciding to like put your stuff out yourself, that kind of thing. Like, how did you end up going down that particular road instead of just writing and sticking stuff in a drawer like I often do / did?
It was kind of in two parts. I thought it would be cool. Thought it would be cool to be published. My mom was published. She has a couple books out, and I mean, like most published authors, it wasn't a huge success, and she's made, like, not a lot of money at all. So it wasn't like a serious financial thing for her, and that's fine. But I wanted it to be. So I started, how can you make money as an author? And it looked like self-publishing. I had read a lot by Hugh Howey and, just the same guys like everyone else. And I found an editor based off actually his recommendations, and just decided to do it myself. So it was, I knew it would be hard. It's seeing a lot of zeros for a long time. But it's definitely doable in the end.
And did you like sit down and like plan out? Did you outline the series and then get like developmental editing to make it like a series that you were really like proud of and ready to go out with? Or did you just kind of, trust yourself, write it, throw it out?
Yeah, more of the second one for sure. I did get it edited, but not development. I've never done developmental editing. I wish I had the money to do that. That would be fun, at least to try once. But no, I did hire a good editor, and she helped me with all the books. But I just had them edited and put them out there.
Okay.
And I did not outline the series. I just one book at a time I planned.
Oh my God, I'm so impressed. I love your books. I'm like, every time you do that look where you look into space, I'm like, something genius is going on in that brain. Like, That's the look that it is for me. It's like, to me, you're like Roald Dahl, you know. I'm like, what's he gonna come up with next? What's gonna
Well,
come out of that brain?
I like Roald Dahl. I'm a big fan of his books, so that's high praise. Thank you.
So you mentioned Hugh Howey, and just in case there are people, I'm sure there are. I mean, he's super famous, but I'm sure there are still people who don't know like what his strategies are/were. Can you say a little bit more about like what kinds of stuff you learned from Hugh Howey and how you put that into practice when you were starting out with your Mage Mother, when everything was still goose eggs? What were you putting into place?
Sure. He back then he was doing experiments on just in general, going wide versus narrow at just Amazon or something, stuff like that. And he was writing a lot about it, and he was doing that. He's still doing it. What's it called? The author earnings report
Mm-hmm.
with Data Guy or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
And I was reading that stuff, like I just pouring over that stuff, trying to learn it, what was going on, and what it was saying is that basically you don't need a huge following as a self-published author to make money. If you have 10,000, for example, 10,000 devoted fans, you can write 3 books a year, and have 30,000 sales times $3 each, and hey, that's a living. But with as a traditionally published author, you make a much smaller percentage of royalties, so you need a lot more fans, you need a lot more visibility, and it's a lot harder to do. So I liked that. I'm like, oh man, this sounds doable, and yeah, obviously we're not having Hugh Howey type success where it's just one book and then we're millionaires or anything, but the principles are the same.
Yeah. So what did you look at that made you see? So you're looking at the author earnings report and you're like, okay, I could totally, first of all, I envy and love how analytical that is, right? So like you did not have, you were thinking, end game. What's the end game here? I want to actually make money, not just have my books be out. So then that makes it's a whole different approach, right? So
Right.
I feel like I want to highlight that, like lift that up, because it's not as common maybe as the way you said it. I think here's another thing. I think you've been surrounding yourself with people who have taken that approach and are thinking in that way. And so then it makes it maybe feel more common to you, but it's not that common. But okay, so then you looked at the data earnings report, the author earnings report, and you saw something that made you say, okay, I don't actually need to have 1 million followers. I could have the 10,000, what is it? The one, well, I think it's 1,000 true fans, but you could have 10,000 followers and be able to make a living. What was it that you were seeing in the actual data report that made that click for you?
I don't remember. That's a good question, though. Um, I remember looking up. I would go into forums and I would, read the authors who were making comments, and all these indie authors that I'd never heard of that said, they're making this much a month, or maybe they didn't say, and I went online and like downloaded Kindle Spy, like saw how much money they were making, and I was like, man, that's amazing. And there wasn't hardly anyone doing it in the middle grade genre. There's quite a bit of YA fantasy, self-published authors making a lot of money. So that was the most worrisome thing for me, is like no one's doing it in middle grade online, and that
As in no
freaked
one?
me out
There
for a
wasn't
long
even
time.
one? Was there like one?
I couldn't find one back then. Now there are,
Yeah.
When was back then, Austin?
Yeah. When was back then?
2014.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool beans.
At least that's how I remember it. Maybe I was just bad at looking back then. I don't know.
No. I think that's okay. So you were using a lot of the same tools, it sounds like, that the people who are, the thriller people and the romance people are using. They're using Kindle Spine, kind of trying to figure out like what's happening. You said that you were nervous, but before you actually said that, I thought you were going to say that it was like a gap in the market, and you were like, I could fill this because there's not somebody else in the space.
Yeah, it was. I'm like, this is either a gap in the market or it totally doesn't work. It was one of those two. Like, we'll see. So the first thing I did was I went and I purchased Nick Stevenson's course, Your First 10,000 Readers, after I finished my book and launched it, and nothing happened. I was like, huh. So then I went.
First book?
Yeah.
Just the first? Yeah.
Yeah, Mage and the Magpie. Yep, and I got that course and went through it, and then, put some things into place that he talks about in there, reader magnets and all that kind of stuff.
And how did that work for you?
It worked well. I started picking up, I started, my free book started selling, instead of 0 copies a day, like 20, 10 or 20 copies a day or 40 copies a day. And it was awesome. And I started picking up, anywhere from 5 to 10 subscribers just rolling in every day off of that, which was great.
So
and
how
that
long
made me
ago was
super
that?
happy at the time. I wasn't making any money because I had no paid books out.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, I need to write more now. So that's what I did.
So when was that? Like in terms of the timeline, when was that?
I think that's going to be like summer 2015.
Cool. So now you have all 3 books in that series and 1 book in a new series.
Yeah.
Where are you at today?
As far as
Dun, dun, dun.
so today, I'm more excited about writing now because it's really hard to write stuff if when your end game is to provide for your family and you don't know if it's going to work.
Yeah.
It was very challenging, and now I know it's going to work. So it's a lot easier.
That's so lovely, because we try to like we are maintaining a really positive mindset, but I feel like you're the first person that we've talked to who has said, oh, it's totally going to work, besides the 2 of us. So then I felt like a happiness and a peace settle on me when you said that.
I think we're done with you now.
All right,
go home. Congrats, Austin. You win.
That's funny.
Okay, so when did it turn? When did you know this is going to work? And what were you doing? Because we're trying to figure out, like literally, I'm trying to figure out what is it that Austin's doing that I'm not doing that I should try. Maybe it won't stick for me, but I want to see some things to try. So what did you do to make it turn, do you think?
I had this big gut feeling. I started looking into Facebook ads a little bit. I happened upon Mark Dawson's course, and I had this huge gut feeling that would work, Facebook advertising, and it totally did. It worked great. Not quite as great for me as like thriller authors, but that's definitely where it turned. So I started Facebook.
So wait, I'm going to pause you.
Go ahead.
So you say not as great for me as for thriller authors. Can you be more specific about that? What are you thinking of as great for thriller authors? Or I'm sure that might be just like a fun comparison. But what is great for you?
So in terms of Facebook advertising, we talk about it being an investment, and you talk a lot about ROI, so return on investment. For example, if you spend $100 a day on Facebook advertising and you earn $150 that day in profit, that's a 50% ROI. So you're getting all your money back plus 50%. So that's 50% return on your investment. A lot of thriller authors out there are getting, 50% on up to like 100%, 200% return on their investment. I mean, I don't know if it's really a lot. Maybe it's not a lot, but people talk about it. You know, that's like, oh, that's what thriller authors are doing. It may not really be that much. And I'm doing not that much, but it's still positive. So I'm sorry, I'm opening my spreadsheet now to actually look.
I am patiently
Nice.
waiting for you to open your spreadsheet and look.
She
Okay.
loves
love
spreadsheets. She
a
loves
person
them.
with a spreadsheet. I love
Oh, I'll
spreadsheets.
show you.
They're
I'll
Such a
show
very
you my
magical-
useful.
spreadsheets. You're gonna love it. So I'm getting, you know, like 25 to 40% ROI
Mhm.
off my ads, and sometimes it's even less, but I can tell that it's really influencing my sales across the board in ways that are really hard to track.
Yeah.
So I may get a day that's actually negative where it shows, you know, I lost $5 in Facebook advertising, but I picked up, you know, a lot of people saw the ad and then they ended up purchasing it on Apple or Barnes and Noble instead, and I can't track that with my advertising stuff. So
Yeah.
It got a lot bigger for me after I started advertising.
And were you advertising to get subscribers, like email, you know, subscribe, or are you advertising for actual sales?
I'm advertising for direct sales.
Direct sales.
And
So
do
I
you
did. I mean, I watched Nick's course and I did advertise for, you know, I was putting down like $5 or $10 a day for several months, just getting subscribers. But then I got tired of it. I just wanted to advertise for sales and start making some money, I guess, more directly. So that's more what I'm talking about now is direct sales.
So like
So the books,
no,
so
you go.
I'll go. Okay. So the books are like, you know, for middle grade. Is it parents that are, I mean, I don't know, can you tell that stuff from Facebook advertising? Like, is it actually like mothers, fathers, like, you know, that are picking these kids up for their kids, or picking the books up for their kids?
So I advertise to females between the age of 18 and 45.
Mm-hmm.
That's who my ads are served to. So I think it's just readers, you know, who like that genre and moms probably, you know. There are a lot of people. That's what I've been discovering is there, you know, the Harry Potter generation is now in their 20s and 30s, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
their 40s,
we're still
their
reading middle grade fiction because we
Yeah.
just loved it so much, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you about when you were advertising for mailing list signups. So I hear you that you were ready to make money. Were you finding that the people who signed up for your mailing list through advertising, was it a really warm list? Like, were they very responsive?
It was pretty good, and I still have, you know, a lot of fans from back then. Um, it was just a numbers thing. So I was like, you know, mailing lists are really powerful, but you know, if you launch a new book to your fans, you know, maybe 10% of them, at least in my experience, 10% of my mailing list or less are going to buy it. You know, right then they're going to see the email, they're going to go buy it. So I'm like, this is awesome, but I need a mailing list of like, you know, 10 to 50,000 if I want this to work the way I want it to work. So I just sort of got impatient waiting. I will still do that, and I'm to the point now where I can, you know, spend $10 a day and, you know, pick up 50 to 70 subscribers a day and really grow that now. But I didn't have the money coming in to invest that kind of cash back then.
Mm-hmm. And when you are doing your sales ads, I have a couple questions about that, or
Yeah.
from when you were first starting, and if it's different now, that like tell me about that too. But advertising your free book.
I'll show you. I have some ads to show you, actually, if I can do a screen share.
Gosh, so exciting.
That'd be great. Do a screen share.
Yeah.
And then this will encourage all the people who never go to our YouTube channel.
Okay, yeah.
the
So I
YouTube
guess I'll
name.
have to narrate too, since that's a good thing you said that. So you should be seeing a Facebook ad now. Is that right?
There we go. So, yep.
Okay, I have to figure out how to get rid of my chat window. Okay, so this is the initial ad that was really successful. So it just says, hard day, try babysitting a bunch of wizards. Readers say it's fantastic. If you like Harry Potter or Percy Jackson and you're looking for a new series, start here, end quote. So that's a quote from someone's review. And then it just shows a picture of 6 books because, well, so that's 5. Sorry, I can count. There are 4 books in the series, 1, 2, 3, and then this is the novella, and this is the series cover. So when people go click on the box set, when they click on this ad, it will link them to this box set, and they'll see that image again.
Okay.
So this, I'm advertising my $5.99 box set of 4 books. That's what I'm advertising. It's really hard to make the math starts to fall apart with Facebook advertising if you're not, charging around $6.99 and up. Even $5.99 is a little challenging. If you're charging $2.99 or less, you're just probably not going to make enough money unless your ad is uber successful, if that makes sense.
And so when you are calculating your ROI for this ad, then you're only calculating sales of this ebook box set.
Kind of. Here comes the spreadsheet.
I would love. Oh, it's such a lovely spreadsheet.
Okay, so here is my spreadsheet for that ad. Okay, and it started to perform not great. So I actually shut this ad down a little while ago because it kind of died. We'll go back up here. So
wait, go back because I want to see the date that it died, because I had a similar ad die about the same time. I want to know, maybe it was the time.
I just shut it down a few days ago, so it kind of started dipping at like the end of August.
At the end of August. Okay.
So here we go.
Is it normal for ads to do that? Is it normal for ads to eventually die, or not necessarily?
Yeah, they have kind of a shelf life.
Yeah.
So you have to go back and change your.
Get tired. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially, depending on how big your audience is that you're advertising to. So I'm advertising to a custom audience based off of my mailing list, which was about 5,000 people, 4,000 or 5,000 people at the time. And I just put that into Facebook, and they found, 1.1 million people in the US that most closely resemble my, all the behaviors of my mailing list subscribers, and that's who I'm advertising to. Well, just the women, because men don't like my books. I don't know, but so here's my columns. This is the day. This is how much the box set costs. This is what I make when someone buys it. So this is my royalty minus the download fee or whatever that is, and then this is what I'm spending on this ad that day. This is how many clicks, and this is we're not sure how accurate that is because Amazon reports it being much higher. So I have a special link, right? When people click the link in my Facebook ad, it's an Amazon affiliate link, and Amazon tracks it so that when people buy it, I get a little kickback, which is very nice. So this is my cost per click for that day. And you can always tell when you're going to have a really successful day because you have a low cost per click. That's a bad example. That was not a successful day. Okay, maybe that's not true. But these are my sales, direct sales. So when people click this link, 6 of them purchased it. 5 of them purchased it that day. That's a 4.7% conversion. This is what I made in royalties, and then these are my commissions. So this is really interesting, right? If someone clicks my link in my Facebook ad, Amazon tracks that, and then anything they buy in the next 24 hours, basically, I get a little kickback off of because of the Amazon affiliate account. I'm driving traffic to Amazon, so they pay me back with a small percentage. And sometimes it's not much, it's $2 or it's $3 or it's $7, or this day it was 28 cents. This day it was $20 just on this ad. So just from clicking that link, I made, $20 because someone, I think there was one day, for example, it was like a doctor clicked my ad and then, or maybe a doctor's secretary, and then turned around and ordered like $400 worth of office supplies for his pediatrics office. I was like, yes. So we love it when stuff like that happens. But even when it doesn't, this adds up, and it helps bump your ROI up. So it's just another income stream here. And then this, of course, is my average ROI over. I've been running this ad since April 2017. So this is my average ROI, which is 40%, about 40%, which is not as great as a lot of the thriller authors are doing, but it's pretty amazing when you think about investments, because your bank is giving you, 0.5% or whatever in your savings account, and this is 40%. So it's a pretty great thing to do with your money. If you want to learn about Facebook ads and you're an author, I highly recommend it. And here's one of my other ads, but that's kind of what that's how the ad spreadsheets work and how they make you money, I guess.
and in conclusion, children, how they make you money. So yeah, that's great. So here's the thing. So I do note that you include your affiliate income in your ROI, which is cool.
Yeah.
Where would you stop running the advertising? So like right now you're averaging like 38% ROI. When would you stop?
I don't know. I'm still figuring that out, honestly. Because what I'm learning is that it's really hard to track some of the things that ads are doing. So I shut off that one ad the other day because it was, you saw all those negative days, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I found is I was selling between like 25 and 40 copies of my box set every day. And after I cut that ad, I'm selling like 12 to 18 now. So I don't know if people saw the ad and they came back, after the 24 hours was expired when I can't track them anymore and ended up buying it, or what the deal was. But I've learned that the ads really influence things and bring in a lot of sales that you just can't track, especially on other platforms. So I may turn that back on. You have to sometimes you have to kind of accept a loss almost. It feels like a loss when you're just looking at one ad at a time, but overall, it's really not. So I'll show you. I put together another spreadsheet to kind of help myself understand that what I'm talking about here, and I call it my bird's eye view. So this is my my ad spend, Amazon sales, and these are my sales from other platforms: ACX, CreateSpace, affiliate earnings, total revenue, profit, ROI. So if you look at it this way and look at everything you made that day, it's easier to see that your ROI is really a lot higher than it seems. So
Coming back to the affiliate link, and I apologize for not knowing this, but like to include your affiliate link, is it where you send them that makes it come up on the like how do you add the affiliate to the Facebook link?
Basically you sign up for an Amazon affiliate account. Mm-hmm. And then once you do that, you can go to an Amazon page of any of your products like this. This is my product. I can go up here to this thing's called SiteStripe. It's a little thing that you get when you have an affiliate account. And you just said, I want a link for this page. And then this link becomes This is the short link. Here's the full link. This link becomes magical, right? These are
Right.
all these are all my little tags that I put in here. So this is variations 4. That's the name of my tag. So that's a specific link that Amazon is going to track. And you can go into your affiliate account and look at your links, and I can see how many people clicked this, variations 4, how many people clicked this link that day. And that means that they clicked on this ad because I'll only use that link for this product in one place on the internet, right? And then, does that answer your question? I'm sorry, I'm
It does.
rambling
Yeah,
so
no, that's
much, I
great.
lost track of
No,
your
that's
question.
brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. And I noticed you have your first one in the series still, well, you have it free. Just then on your screen, it was free. So
Yep.
is that intentional? Is that still useful to have that as I'm assuming, perma-free across all the platforms, even though you're advertising the books at a discount as a whole?
Yeah, I've not really tested taking it off of free. It's always been free. And I'm hesitant to do it because it's getting, like 100 sales a day on Amazon, just on Amazon. So it's kind of
Do you
keeping my
do
book
any
up
traffic
there.
to that one? Do you have an
Yeah.
ad that steers traffic to that one? Mm-hmm.
No, I don't advertise my free book. It just kind of
Mm-hmm.
does it by itself.
Cool.
But what I like is it keeps me like #1 in, fantasy and supernatural under the children's ebooks. I'm #1 in a lot of those categories. So it says, Harry Potter on the paid side, and then if you switch to free, my book's usually sitting on the first page somewhere, or maybe the second page, for the Amazon bestsellers. And I just kind of like that. I think the free book gives me just some extra visibility, and I still get a lot of subscribers and things from people downloading the free book and clicking on um, the reader magnet in there, and I don't know. I've never taken it off free, so I can't really answer that question, but I think it gives the series a lot of visibility because a lot of people like free still. So
Yeah. So when you put the book up, did you go wide straight away, or was it in Kindle Select for a little while? Like, what was your reasoning in all of that?
um, the people that I were reading at the time said go wide, so I went wide, and then I got 0 sales, so then I went Select, and I still got 0 sales, so I just went back wide, and I've just kept it there. So I would. That's the other interesting thing that's happened with the Facebook advertising is I've started to make money in the other markets, and I'm trying
Without
to.
sending the ads to the other platforms? Like, do you only send Facebook ads, like people to Amazon? You don't do
I,
Facebook ads for like iBooks or
yeah, I
not
only
yet?
send people to Amazon. So
Right.
maybe someday when my income stream gets bigger and bigger, I can have more ads. If I can figure out how to target them to non-Amazon users, maybe.
Well, I've been
Um,
hearing a lot that on other podcasts that, and I haven't tried it myself, but I've been hearing that Australian readers who love fantasy, by the way, and love Harry Potter, we buy most of our books on iBooks, even though I buy my books on Kindle. But like from what I've heard elsewhere, iBooks is like some authors have great success targeting Australians, particularly, and sending them to iBooks.
that's
So
a good tip.
yeah,
That's good to
there
know.
you go.
Good to know. Um,
So that's one of my big questions for you. So most of the people that I talk to who are having a lot of success in middle grade or children's are having success in print, but you are having success in ebooks. So
right.
how are your print book sales relative to your ebook sales?
Um, Not much. So, sorry, I really don't think that much about print. I think I make about $1.50 a day on average. So what's that, like one print book a day, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's because I don't really try with print. Um, print always just sounded a lot harder and a lot more complicated to me. And ebooks, it's so easy, you know. My percentage, my royalty is higher, you know. I make the same off of a $2.99 ebook, or actually I make more off of a $2.99 ebook than I do off of a $9.99 print book when people buy that. So I'd rather put my energy there, I guess. And it's just, it seems more easier to automate. I don't know how people sell print books because I've never really cared to learn. I probably should. But I don't make that much off of it. You know, I make probably less than $100 a month, or maybe around that range, $150 a month off of print books. And that's just my fans who read the ebook and like it and then want a print book too, so they can read out loud to their kids probably.
All right, cool. So we're talking mostly ebooks here, which is what I just kind of wanted to clarify there,
Yeah.
which is great. So like you're the unicorn in the room right now. So I want to hear about when you started to turn the corner, right? So you had ads running. At first you had ads running for mailing list, and then you switched over and started advertising not your free book. See, I'm like piecing together the story.
Right.
So not your free book, but you were advertising what, the second book in your series?
I was advertising the box set. So that ad I showed
only the
you,
box set.
that ad
Okay.
I showed you was the first ad that I started running. Well, the first ad that was successful.
And do you still mostly run ads to the box set, or do you?
Yeah. Right now I'm only advertising my box
well?
set. I'm only advertising the box set right now. So I will in the next few days. I'll start doing some just mailing list ads. You know, giving away the first 2 books in the series for free. Basically, my first book and my reader magnet in exchange for, you know, joining my mailing list. I'll start doing that again because I have the income to do it now, and I want to grow my mailing list more now. But I'm currently only advertising the box set.
Okay. Right.
And how have you found, since you've started a new series, how's that impacted everything? Like, what approach have you taken with, do you only have the one book still in the new series?
I only have the one book still.
Is it planned to be another trilogy? Are you going to do more books in this series? Where is it? 5 books. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it has made, you know, by itself as a standalone book, it's been more successful than my previous standalone book releases. But I'm kind of at the mindset now, I'm not going to make a ton of money off of it until I have the whole series and start advertising the box set. And that's okay. I'm okay with that, you know, because I've seen it work once and I know it'll work again. But my readers have loved it, so it's been pretty successful, I think.
Okay, cool.
So I want to talk to you because you asked me earlier about the turning point. I started Facebook advertising.
I was totally going to redirect us there, but you were going to stick around.
I started Facebook advertising in March, and I'll do a screen share again because this is just
this
cool.
year, March of this year.
This year, March. Yep.
Okay. I'm going to mute myself so that I don't become the main.
Okay. And this is my royalties on Draft to Digital. So you can see, and all the months before this looked just like this, right? $20, $30, $0 on Draft to Digital. And I bring up Draft to Digital because that's how I sell on Apple and iTunes. Well, Apple is iTunes, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and so on. So anything that's not Amazon, everywhere else is through Draft to Digital because I'm too lazy to go direct to all of them. So this is March. I started advertising and it popped up to, you know, $180, and then it's gone, you know, up and up. And July was like 600 almost. And you know, this is kind of a small piece of the pie compared to Amazon, but I haven't advertised directly to any of these people. So these are people probably who saw the ad and then went looking for it elsewhere themselves. And that's pretty amazing to me, you know, to be making real money on Apple and Barnes & Noble, because that had never happened to me before Facebook advertising. So
So wait, hold on. What was the magic in March? I still missed it. So I
That's when I
see it.
started Facebook ads. That's when I
Wait,
started
okay, so you just started Facebook ads in March. So wait, hold on. So how much had you built? Listen, now I need to back up because I
Okay.
I'm missing a step. So you just started Facebook ads in March of this
Yeah.
year, March 2017. So I had you in my mental timeline having started those like in 2016. So
So I'm talking about my Facebook ads that are just direct sales for my box set. I'm just advertising the box set.
mhm,
And that started in March.
okay. And also, you need to take me off screen share because I'm like watching me and it seems bizarre.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I hate that.
But okay, so then what was the lead up to that? So like the Facebook ads were your turnaround. I also experienced that, but now I want to know, like, so you had been doing this for quite a while, right? So you had, I mean, in indie terms, quite a while. So from starting in 2014 until March 2017, like that was when you first started doing like direct sales advertising, right? So what
Right.
did your A, what made you start in March 2017? And B, the what were your charts looking like before then?
I was making, okay, good question. So, um, I'll just talk about Amazon now because I wasn't making anything anywhere else before
Okay.
March. I was making about $400 a month, $300 to $400 a month on Amazon
Just
before I
ebooks.
started just ebooks before I started Facebook advertising, and 25 to $40 a month in print books. I never
Mhm.
mentioned print books because it's never much. Um, so I was, in terms of a business investment, I was still way in the hole, right? Because we pay for covers. We were talking about this a little bit, before we started recording this podcast. You pay for Facebook covers, or not Facebook covers. You pay for book covers and um, editing and all this other stuff, and it just adds up over the course of 2 or 3 years. Um, so when I finally decided I wanted to invest another $1,000 in this online course about Facebook advertising, and I convinced my wife that it would be an awesome idea to do that, then that's when I started to see the turnaround, and that's when my $400 a month in income jumped to like you know $1,200 a month, and then $3,000 a month, and then $4,000 a month in income on Amazon. Mind you, I'm spending $1,500 a month in advertising, so that's really like $1,500 to $2,000 a month net. But that was still a lot better than $400 a month. So I was super excited. Um, so that's where I was before and after Facebook advertising, if that answers your question.
No, no, that totally answers my question. So it took you how long do you think to build up to like $300 to $400 a month from your goose egg, right? From when you were like,
Yeah.
"Yay, I made a sale," which everybody has. That.
Right.
Um,
Yay. Um, that's a good question. I'm looking back at my old spreadsheets now. It looks like it took about a year and a half, 2 years. It really wasn't till it wasn't till last summer, really. So from May 2015, okay, I guess that's not that long. May 2015 to like July, August 2016. So I guess it was just a year.
a year. Okay. A year and a little piece. Okay,
Yeah.
great. And it started growing when you had how many books in that series? This is another little bit of magic I'm trying to figure out.
4. So 3 full novels and a novella.
Okay.
And I had my box set out.
Okay.
I had my box set out by then. I wasn't advertising it yet, but summer 2016, when I started seeing $400 a month, I had my box set out. And I can tell you that, 60 to 70% of my sales were from the box set. People just like buying multiple books at once for a steep discount.
You're like, it's
I don't know
weird.
why.
People like a
Yeah.
steep discount bar cannot figure that out.
Yeah.
All right. Very
So
cool.
how much
All
are the
right.
books on their own if you didn't buy them in the box set? How much are they each?
The books are $3.99, I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, $3.99 on their own. Except for the first one is free, obviously. And the second one's a
Right.
novella, so it's 99 cents.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering, how does the novella, well, like, I hear the concept of writing, you know, a novella for your series as the free thing.
Yeah.
But like, what is the novella? Is it like just a standalone story? Is it still related to the series? Like, I have
Yeah.
read your first few books, but I have not read the novella. So tell me about that.
So the novella is a side adventure story of one of my not main characters. So, but Tabitha. It's all about Tabitha.
Okay.
So she's the sidekick,
Yep.
and it's a story, an adventure that takes place between the first book and the second book. So if you read the novella, it gives you a little extra insight, you know, and backstory to some things that happen later in the series that you may not necessarily pick up if you don't read the novella. So in my box set, I package it. When you open the box set, the ebook, you read the first book, and then you read the novella, and then the second book. So that's what the novella does, and I kind of liked it. I'm not sure if I would do it again that way because it confused a lot of people. So like, is the novella book two, or you know, kind of sandwiching it in between my series, I think confused some readers.
You're like,
But
it's a side quest, but read it here.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, the great, you know, like the real hardcore fans, they pick it up and they're like, "Come on, people! He tells you how to read it." But
And
yeah.
how much do you think the topic, like the genre, you know, like not the genre as in children's books or middle grade as a genre, but the genre of like, you know, fantasy, like how much do you think that played a part? Like, I mean, even hearing about keywords and how, for example, titles with mage versus wizards do better these days and things like that. Did you know
Um,
that? Did you know that mage does better than wizards?
I did not. I did not know that.
I thought you planned that.
No, I didn't. Really didn't. Um, I didn't really think that carefully when I did it all, if that makes sense. I'm not sure exactly how to answer that question. Um, yeah, sorry, ask me again because
I
I don't
suppose
know what you're asking.
I suppose what I'm trying to work out through my question, and you may not, you know, obviously have the answer. I'm sort of thinking aloud as much as anything is, you know, like let's say 3 different authors write now because they've listened to your fantastic advice, so they go and write, you know, a trilogy middle grade book, which I'm actually doing right now, and but they're all on different, you know, topics. Like one might be, you know, sort of real to life, and another one might be fantasy, and the third one might be, I don't know, something else, horror for children. They tend to love horror. I suppose I'm asking how much, if you know it all, the genre has to do with also the popularity.
Okay, yeah, I get you now. I think it's, at least in my mind, it's a huge part of it.
Okay.
But then, I mean, my world is digital sales, and I'm advertising to adults. And I think there are a lot of adults that read children's fantasy. You know, there are a lot of Harry Potter fans and Percy Jackson fans out there who are adults, and they read it, and they're like, "Oh, this was great. I want something else like this." And so they go out looking. And that's my audience. You know, I would I have other children's book ideas. I don't know how I'd market those because I mean children would read them and not adults. So I have kind of this, I'm marketing books to adults and then later they're read by adults with their children type of mindset.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
yeah.
That's also a difference from
Mm.
a lot of people that we've talked to because people are marketing to adults because like on places like Facebook, I think you're not even allowed to advertise to children. Like I think if you put the age group down, that they essentially are just like, nope, you can't do it. It's like, oh, thanks. Okay. But most people are thinking I'm advertising to gatekeepers. So I'm advertising to parents for children. I'm advertising to librarians and teachers for children. But you're thinking, nah, adults like this. So
Yeah.
you're selling to adults.
So when I've done my Facebook ads, you can drop down the age range, and you can, as far as I can tell, you can advertise to kids. I'm just like, kids don't have credit cards, you know, so I want to advertise to adults. But then, you know, I'm really trying to make a career out of it too. So that's kind of my mindset. I've only advertised to adults. I don't know how it would work to advertise directly to kids. It doesn't sound like a great idea to me, but it may work. I haven't tried it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So then that I'm the person who says that we're almost out of time, and we are, but you said originally, you were like, I advertise to females 18 to 45, right? And then we saw your lovely spreadsheet, and one of them was an ad that is a retarget ad, so that you had a not it wasn't a retarget ad, that's wrong. You had a lookalike audience that was based on your mailing list that you were advertising to. So that's a second group. And I'm assuming that when you did your lookalike audience, where you take your own list and you upload it into Facebook, and Facebook will decide what those people have in common, and then find more people who they think have the same things in common and put them into an audience for you. Do you then filter down to women 18 to 45 when you are using your lookalike audience, or do you just let it go as it is?
I have in the past. I've still filtered down. And I actually just started an ad the other day where I'm not filtering down. I'm just advertising to that lookalike audience. So I'm trying it again. But in the past, I've seen that it just works better to advertise only to women.
Okay.
So we know, 70% of all books sold are purchased by women, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Same. I always try them and then end up like cutting them out because they cost too much money for their clicks.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so then how many of your lists are lookalike lists? Like how are you? Because you're not just, I don't want people to think that you're just going on Facebook and being like all women 18 to 45 and just putting your ad out there, because I highly doubt that you are. Like,
Yeah, no, it's all lookalike
audiences?
audiences. It's only lookalike audiences right now. So back, a year and a half ago, when I was only doing advertising to grow my list, my mailing list, and I was giving away free stuff, that was a lot easier to do, without a lookalike audience. I didn't have one yet because I didn't really have a mailing list. So then I could just target, all women who are interested in Harry Potter or Percy Jackson, basically, and just advertise to them. But now that I'm trying to sell something, I have to get a lot more specific, a lot more targeted to people who are like the people who like my books.
Right. So do you just have lookalike audiences that are built off your mailing list, or do you have other sources for generating those lookalike audiences?
Currently just my mailing list. I will try other things in the future, lookalike audiences based on people who like my author Facebook page, or people who have visited my website, or people who have clicked on an ad in the past. And I will do that in the future and experiment with that. But right now I'm spending, $25 to $35 per ad per day. So it's expensive to experiment with new things. So it's really slow, and that's the hardest thing is you try new things and you experiment with new things very slowly, because even when you make money and an ad is really successful, you're gonna have to keep paying for that for another 90 days, or whatever, before you get paid by Amazon. So it's like, yay, this is working. I have to spend $25 a day on it for the next 90 days before I get paid. So my credit card company loves that, though.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Austin. Are there other questions that we didn't get to from you, Elena, before we let Austin go?
I just wanted to ask if you've been using the Amazon ads, and if that now is also part of your advertising secret weapon.
Not really. So I spent about 3 or 4 hours. So that's the disclaimer, right? I spent 3 or 4 hours learning about Amazon ads, and then I set up a bunch of them, and I didn't see any success that was measurable or as exciting to me. So I just kind of shut it down for a while. And I'm sure I will go back to it because I know it's awesome, and I think you're doing pretty well with it. Um, I but I'm not really there yet.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Cool.
Yeah. So I feel like I can sense in the future, us having, or maybe not so far in the future, us having a, a question and answer period about Facebook advertising specifically for children's and middle grade authors. And I'm just pre-booking you now, Austin, for that time period when we're just
Okay.
going to have people's questions coming in, and I'll make sure you're not alone in being able to answer questions. We'll have like a distinguished panel of people.
Oh, awesome.
And you'll be
Okay.
on that distinguished panel.
That's less scary now. That sounds
Okay,
Yes.
awesome, awesome. And then and be excited, like, and totally be ready to have, happy spreadsheets that you can like pop up and set up your face like all the time.
Okay.
That'll be good in that period too.
All right.
Well, we really, really, really appreciate you sharing your expertise with us and your experience with us. And is there a place that people can find you online?
Yeah, just Google Mage Mother, and my website will come up, and Amazon will come up, and you can buy the books there. And I hope that you do and enjoy them.
And as a few parting words, tell us what you hope to do in a year. Like, how many books do you plan to, put out in 2000 or the rest of 2017, 2018? Where do you expect to be in another year?
So if we were to talk next year, I would like to have my new series, the Simon Fader series, finished. So 5 books out in that, and have 1 or 2 started in something else. That's my goal for a year from now.
Wow. Brilliant. How many words is each book roughly?
The Mage Mother series, those books were between 80 and 90,000. Simon Fader's been shorter. I kind of limited myself to 60,000 just to see if I could write a decent book that was that short. And it's been fun.
Terrific.
But as I have a small parting rant that I want to do, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, of course.
And that's that, I've had, well over like 10 to 15, okay, well, I'm looking at a spreadsheet now. It's like $14,000 in expenses, publishing these books and advertising and trying things and failing and spending money on things that I shouldn't have. We all make those mistakes. And it's been, 2 years. And I saw pretty much, no success in the first year. I mean, it was success, but it wasn't any money in the first year. And then I started seeing $400 a month, and now I'm seeing, between $1,500 and $2,000 a month. And so I'll pay that expense down quickly. But I guess my rant is, if you're willing to look at it like a business, then just stick it out, because success comes. It comes much more slowly than we want it to a lot of the time.
Those are great parting words. And I feel like I want to add a little bit on, but your own words back at you, which is that the things that you're doing sometimes influence things you can't track. So I feel like that's tied up in there as well.
Yeah. Right. Very true.
Very cool. Very cool.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And once again, people can find us and this interview. If you want to look at the stats online on the YouTube channel, you can find it all at www.indiekidlitpodcast.com. We'll see you in another fortnight. Over and out.
All right.